What is up, Packer fans? Back again. It is week 15. The Packers, big win against the Bears, big win against the Lions, big win against the Vikings, 3-0 against the last 3 games against the division opponents. And now they head to Denver, the Mile High Stadium, to face off against the 11-2 number 1 seed in the AFC Denver Broncos with head coach Sean Payton, young second-year quarterback Bo Nix, and an up-and-coming team that's really hot right now and getting going when, in crunch time. So they've had some really good games against the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys. Big wins for the Broncos. So the Packers definitely have their work cut out for them this week. And the Packers obviously got to keep this momentum going. They've been winning a few games in a row now. They've won a bunch of games in the division, and they're 4-0 in the division. And so Packers definitely have to keep this momentum alive. And for Green Bay, this is a big game against the Broncos. They do come back home the following week. They go to Chicago, and then they come back home against the Ravens for week 17, and then they go to the Vikings. So the Packers only have one home game in the final 3 games of the season. Definitely going to be big games for them to try to keep this momentum going. So for Green Bay, let's get right to it. On defense, obviously, Micah Parsons really playing well. Kingsley Enagbare got a sack last week. He's playing great. Rashawn Gary is still kind of in the mix with pressures and getting after the quarterback. Obviously, losing Devontae Wyatt was big, but the Packers brought in 2 big bodies, Jonathan Riley from the Giants, and Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, those guys playing really well up front. And then, obviously, the guys in the middle, Quay Walker, having him back last week was really big. He's going to have another week under his belt coming back from injury. I like for him to step up a little bit more this week, have a little bit more blitz packages, things like that, get him going a little bit more like he was before he got injured. Edgerrin Cooper, I think he led the team in tackles, really kind of progressing as well as I thought he would. Definitely would like to see some more big plays out of him, but he's always around the football, and that's what you want to see. The plays will come, the big plays will come for him if he's continuously going to be around the ball. So really exciting to see how this defense goes up against this Broncos offense. Obviously on the back end, Keyshawn Nixon got a big pick last week to seal the game against the Bears after having a ball go right through his hands, and then having a few PBUs in the second half, and then getting the big pick to seal the game. Wasn't even his man, but the back end, like I said, having Nate Hobbs back last week, didn't really notice any issues with him being out there. He played well. Carrington Valentine brings a little tenacity to the defense that I love. And then have an X back there with Evan Williams and Javon Bullard, who just keeps improving. Both of these young safeties, Evan Williams and Javon Bullard, are really good players. So I'm excited to see how this defense keeps progressing under Halfley this year and in the next year. And hopefully we get to keep Halfley, because obviously what he's doing has been really awesome to watch. But going up against this Broncos offense is going to be the big test, obviously, for the Packers defense. They've let some teams run the ball on them a little bit. Last week, they kind of got stagnant in the second half. Not the defense so much. The offense was stagnant too, but the Bears got back into the game, and then the defense obviously made a big play. But, like I said, Bo Nix, young quarterback. Sean Payton really had his chance to mold him. He's definitely doing exactly what Peyton wants him to do out there on the field, and he's got some big-time weapons. He's got Evan Ingram at tight end, who's a big-time weapon. He's starting to get more into the fold with this offense. He's kind of new to the system, and so he's starting to get in the mix, and now obviously more than halfway through the season, he's really starting to become a top target for Bo Nix. And then they got, obviously, Cortland Sutton, the big wide receiver, Troy Franklin, kind of the speedster receiver. And then Marvin Mims, the guy, he likes to return punts and kicks, but he's also a guy that they use on gadget plays and can catch the ball, downfield. So definitely going to have our work cut out for us on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to going, or on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to going up against this Broncos offense. Bo Nix, like I said, has lots of targets, but they like to run the football. That's kind of how Sean Payton does his system. He runs the ball, play action fake, kind of the old Drew Brees system with the Saints back in the day. They have RJ Harvey, really good running back. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins is out for the season again. He's a guy that just cannot stay healthy. A guy that I like a lot coming out of Ohio State, a guy that's played really well at a bunch of different teams, and then he just kind of gets injured and then the season ends. So I'd like to see what he could do with a full season, but the Broncos, like I said, they have Harvey, they have McLaughlin, kind of the pass catcher out of the backfield. And for this Broncos offense, obviously it starts up front, and their big left tackle, Garrett Bowles. He's a guy that is going to be a problem for Parsons and Gary. It's going to kind of come down to, can one of those guys or can both of those guys beat him continuously? Garrett Bowles is just a beast on the left side for the Broncos, kind of the fixture on the offensive line. They have a good guys at center. What is his name? Wattenberg, I think, and then at the right tackle, McClinchy. So a lot of guys on this offensive line. Not big names obviously, except for the Garrett Bowles, but they're really solid. They give Bo Nix time, and he gets rid of the ball very quickly, which is also going to be another issue for this Packers defense, trying to kind of get pressure on Bo Nix. So can Green Bay's defense keep up with this Broncos offense? It is a young team. It is a young quarterback. I think Halfley can bring some stuff that maybe kind of confuses Nix. Obviously, we have Micah Parsons. That's not a normal player for most teams to have, a guy like him that can kind of just wreck the game at any time. So I look for this Packers game to be close against the Broncos, but obviously it comes down to, can this Packers offense score points against this Denver Broncos defense? This Broncos defense is going to probably break the record for sacks in a season, so our offensive line is going to have a big test in front of them. Starts with Jordan Love, obviously getting the right plays in, calling the right calls at the line, getting the protections right. Obviously the center, Sean Ryan, has a lot to do with that also, but Rasheed Walker's been playing great at left tackle. I just still cannot say enough about how he came into this league as a 7th-round pick and then kind of worked his way into the starting role, and now he's just the fixture at that left tackle. He's going to get paid by Green Bay at some point, which is really cool to see. Then at left guard, Aaron Banks really starting to get used to his position, playing really well against the Bears. He's just throwing guys out of the way. He is a mauler. It just took him some time to kind of get healthy, I think, and kind of get into playing form. So exciting to see him kind of where he wants to be. Sean Ryan taking over for Elton Jenkins, playing great at center. No issues up front, really, and it comes down to the quarterback center kind of being on the same page. So really exciting to see that. Obviously, he's a guy that went to UCLA, smart guy, was really good run blocker in college, and I think he played some center here and there. So he's a guy that's not unknown to the position, and a guy that has been really doing well. So, and then, like I said, at right guard, this is so interesting. We had Jordan Morgan, we had Sean Ryan kind of going back and forth. Ryan got the center spot because of Jenkins going out. Morgan kind of basically was going to be solidified at that right guard spot, and he just couldn't do the job. He got drafted as a tackle. His arms were too short for tackle. Maybe he's too small for guard, too short for tackle. So I don't know what's going to happen with Jordan Morgan, first-round pick out of Arizona a couple years ago. Packers definitely missed on that one. There was definitely some other opportunities to get other players that could have been beneficial early. But anyway, Anthony Belton, the big guy, 6'6", over 320 pounds, out of North Carolina State. He is a mauler. Also, he's in there at right guard. Really exciting to see him kind of develop. He got some playing time early. I think he started like one of the first preseason games or something like that. But then obviously getting injured, and then having the other guys kind of in there because they had been in the system longer, and now Belton kind of took over that right guard spot, playing really well. And then right tackle, obviously Zach Tom's playing awesome. So going up against this defensive line of the Broncos is going to be the test. Obviously Zach Allen, he's a beast. And then they have DJ Jones, John Franklin Myers, and then Jonathan Cooper, Alex Singleton at linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, the old 49er who in the Super Bowl, remember I think he tore his ACL celebrating on the sideline. But he's a guy that I really liked. He's fast. He makes tackles. He's definitely a game breaker. And then Nick Bonita, they're kind of their stud pass rusher, also can do some things, in the run game and things like that. But obviously, Defensive Player of the Year last year, Patrick Surtain, he is back. He was out for a few games with injury, with a pec, I think, and now he has been back for a few weeks. They did beat the Raiders 24-17 last week. The Raiders suck, so not a huge win for the Broncos, and it was in Las Vegas, I believe. So on the road, they won again. Got to 11-2. It's a big-time team. This defense is definitely going to be tough. Like I said, they do have Patrick Surtain. And then on the back end, they have Hufanga, the old 49ers safety that Packers fans probably remember. So, and then Riley Moss, the other corner, and then Brandon Jones, the other safety. So definitely some playmakers on the defense for the Broncos. Obviously, like I said, they're probably going to break the record for sacks in the season. Hopefully the Packers offensive line can stop them. And then it's going to come down to, can Jordan Love, can Josh Jacobs, can we get Emmanuel Wilson going? There's some plays where I think if Wilson can just get outside, like his speed, if he could just see that there's some space and some open field to the outside and he could bounce it out. Sometimes he just runs straight into the pile. And I know that's where the play calls, but, some running backs would bounce it outside. So it just, with his speed, I think he could really start breaking some plays open if he could see some of those edges. But getting the running game going against this defense is going to be key. And then I liked what I saw to the tight ends against the Bears. We saw the new guy, Weil, make a catch. We saw Fitzpatrick make a few catches. We saw Musgraves make a really nice almost catch and then another few catches. So really exciting to see these tight ends kind of pick up Tucker Kraft's, production. Obviously, it's really impossible to replace that, but with getting Jaden Reed back, he had over 50 yards total, rushing and receiving, and then obviously having Dontavian Wicks and getting Matthew Golden back, who didn't play a whole lot, but I'm excited to see kind of how they kind of reintegrate him into the system. And then Romeo Doubs had no catches also last week against the Bears, so I look for him to kind of have a bounce-back game this week against the Broncos. Packers have a lot of weapons at wide receiver. Like I said, Golden, Wicks, Reed, Watson, Doubs. That's 5 guys that can make plays and that can bust the game open at any time. So I really look for this Packers offense to kind of start to get clicking on all cylinders, really start getting the ball downfield, scoring a lot of points. We just haven't seen any of those really high-scoring games from the Packers. It's kind of been a lot of up and down and then some stagnant times. So I look for this team to kind of start getting going here. Now that the season's kind of progressing, it is going to be a little bit different, though. We're going to be at Mile High Stadium. The altitude is going to be an issue. The players aren't going to be used to it as much. But, there's players that have played there before. I know McManus used to kick there, so the ball does sail farther. The ball will go longer on field goals and things like that. So just a little extra factors to think about for this game. Packers, if they do lose, the Bears play the Browns, and hopefully Shedeur can beat the Bears. Go Shedeur. The Bears still suck. And so hopefully if the Packers do end up losing this game, because it is going to be a tough game. Away game, out of conference, best team in the AFC, but they are a young team. So I think that this Packers team, with what they've been dealing with and going through with all the different hype around kind of their season so far, Micah Parsons and the Bears game and things like that, and then the upcoming Bears game. Either way, that Bears game is pretty much going to be playing for first place, whether we win or lose, or they win or lose. I mean, I guess if they lose and we win, then it's not going to be, but they'll probably win. And if we win or lose, then it's going to be going for first place in the North, week 16 against the Bears. But first things first, like LaFleur always said, it's 1-0 every week. We only focus on the Broncos right now, so don't look ahead too far. So then Packers, obviously, if we can run the ball with Jacobs, keep this offense on the field. We had some issues in the second half against the Bears, so I look for the Packers to kind of fix some of those things and try to sustain some drives. They were really out-possessioning the Bears in the first half, and then the second half it kind of was equalized. But for this Packers team to beat this Broncos team, it's going to come down to not making mistakes, no silly interceptions like Love had early in the game against the Bears. He did clean that up. Obviously, he had 3 touchdowns after that, 4 touchdowns the week prior. So he's really clicking on all cylinders, which is awesome. And now that he's getting all his receivers back, and Reed will be a game in, Golden will be another game in back from injuries. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, and if this defense can kind of just keep doing what they've been doing, bend but don't break, not give up too many points. I know they gave up 21 points to the Bears, but it was kind of a weird second half where the Packers couldn't get anything going on offense and couldn't keep the ball. So the Packers defense was out there a lot, and they kept running the ball and kind of just had a lot of time of possession. But this Green Bay team can win 9-3-1 right now. Let's get to 10-3-1. Packers win this one. It's going to be close, 30-27, I believe, but I think they get the W here. It's going to be a tough one, though. So go Pack Go. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This Packers team could get hot at the right time like they did back in 2010 and kind of make a run here. Right, they're obviously in better position seeding-wise currently, but who knows how the remainder of this season will go. It's going to be tough. Like I said, 3 out of 4 games are going to be on the road. We go to Denver, to Chicago, then at home against the Ravens, and then we go to Minnesota. McCarthy just beat the Commanders 31-0. The Ravens lost to the Steelers. They're going to be vying for a position in the playoffs. They're going to be needing that win against the Packers. And then, obviously, the Bears game is the Bears game. So winning this game is going to be big. If we can win this game, then it kind of gives us some leeway for the rest of the season. But if we don't win this game, then it's basically win out, and that's going to be a tough ass. So obviously 4-0 for the next 4 games would be ideal. So go Pack, go. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Peace.